So now let's talk about the loading process here at Monrovia, California. We know you're very well familiar with the way you unload the trucks, but let's talk a little bit how it all comes together and how these plants get on the truck in the first place. We have about 60 docks here at the nursery here in California, of which we can load typically during a busy spring day about 30 to 35 trucks in a given day with the craftsmen and crews that we have. The process starts with all orders that the sales reps put through. So when Eric places an order, those orders are assembled and collected from our shipping department. And at that point, then they will determine the route of the truck, where it may be delivering, the day it loads, and so on. And at that point, then they'll release the order, and that orders for that truck will be sent out for assembly of those plants. I think you maybe all have seen the little white, what we call strip labels or pick tickets that you'll see attached to the plants. That will give information about what the garden center, who the garden center is, the plant type, size. It also gives a stock location. Every plant in the nursery has got a location of where those plants are, so they know exactly where to pull those plants from. It also will give information about whether or not it's a retail priced label that needs to be put on the plant, and any other kind of small information that they'll use at the time of loading. While the assembly crews are out picking those plants and bringing them to the dock, on the docks, our loading coach will start to look at each individual load and determine kind of what the process is going to need for that load. For example, on this load here, you can see the metal racks that have been placed up here. This truck will be loading tomorrow. He has assembled several racks already on the dock, knowing that, okay, there's 4 or 5 maybe customers on this truck, and a few of them want their plants put on racks. We have some customers that rack 100% of their order, all sizes. We have others that maybe only do 1 gallons and 2 gallons. A lot of variable in that part. And then we still have customers that do a fair amount of floor stacking. So he'll look at that, make that determination. Also look at plant sizes. There may be a very unique load that's got a lot of fairly large topiaries or other plants that maybe take up more space than the typical load, so we'll have to put that into play to make sure that we don't run into problems with back orders or unexpected issues that might come up during the loading time. As all that is coming together, the assembly team then will be bringing these plants up, and they typically bring them up on wagons. And we actually have one that's coming by right now. And this guy is bringing up, our craftsman here is bringing up some crepe myrtles and some junipers. And so he's got an assembly area that he typically pulls from. And our assemblers, arguably, in my eyes, are as important as anyone that works for our company, because they are very specialized in the plants that they pick out. They have to go into the beds and determine what is our best quality. Naturally, the location they're pulling from has already been deemed by our inventory coach to say that, hey, these plants are ready and we can ship these are our best. But it's still up to them to go through and pick out the 5 or 10 or even 100 or whatever it may be on that load to make sure that they're the best plants that we have. So during that time, then they will bring them up to the dock. And like I mentioned, on the label, the strip label, it has a number on it, so you'll see these yellow signs. It's got the 6, and where he's putting the plants, that's by the 5 sign. That's for those individual drops. Again, the loading coach has determined the space that on the dock which each drop is going to need. So between this 5 and 6 here, it's maybe about 20 feet or so. So that's about the size of that order, so that when they bring the plants up, there's some sort of coordinated process of what plants go on what part of the dock. This process here of actually bringing all the plants to the dock takes about a day, and that's why normally there's a deadline when your orders need to be put in, and then they start to bring the plants up. The labels that are for the early stops, or the first ones in the truck, are put out first, so those plants get to the dock sooner. So when the crews start first thing tomorrow morning, those plants will now be available to put into the truck. And then during the day, it takes about a day for the loading crews to assemble and put all those plants in the dock or into the truck, and then off the truck goes. So very, very complicated somewhat, but pretty coordinated. We've been loading trucks like this, I would say, probably for close to 50 years, although techniques and ways of doing it have changed a little bit, but it's still pretty much a very simple but yet complicated puzzle of putting all your plants in the truck to make sure they arrive at your garden center in the most perfect condition.